Hi, and welcome to step 9 of the 10 times your impact microdegree. And this is the step where I get to share how it is that all of wealth is simply crystallized time. That is right sitting in front of us, but most of us, we've just got the wrong pace when it comes to how that time actually shows up. I mean, think about this for a moment, right? Think about the idea of a plant, right? So here is a plant, here's a flower, so there's a flow in the flower, and this flower gets to grow as a result of us watering the flower. Now what happens if we water it too much, right? This side, where we got too much, guess what happens? The flower is dead. And if we at the same time don't water enough, not enough, then also guess what happens? The flower also dies. All life, all flow is as a result of watering the flower just right. Your wealth, your success, the impacts you can have are not a matter of waiting for some time in the future. It's about knowing that at this point right now, there's a chance you're either going too slow or going too fast, and when you get the right pace just right, then everything starts to grow. This is what Buckminster Fuller calls the concept of wealth as controlled time. When you take that concept, that wealth is controlled time, and that if you get things at the right pace, then things will then slow down enough that it actually turns into money, and it slows down as a result of a fundamental word, which is called trust. Trust comes in 3 different forms. It comes in internal trust, external trust, and future trust. Internal trust is something called confidence. So as we start to just see the traction happen, as we start getting into flow, our confidence grows. If we go too fast, guess what happens? Things disappear or things break up and we end up losing confidence. If we go too slow, things don't occur enough and we lose confidence. Just like driving a car, you can be in too high a gear, and as a result of that, you don't have confidence the car's going to drive. Or you can be in too low a gear, in which case the car burns out, and again, you lose your confidence. But if you get it just right, then just like a racing car driver, you can be confident about going around every corner because you've got that feel for the car in just that right pace as well. So don't let your vehicle get out of control. Don't let your business get out of control. And most importantly, understand that your customers, your partners, all get this same sense as well. They can feel it if you're going too fast or too slow. So there's the opposite here to internal trust, which is external trust. This is called credibility. So you're going to find that it's very, very easy for even the most successful entrepreneurs to start losing credibility, but they know when they're doing it and they slow down again to catch up with that credibility. And vice versa. If they're going too slow, they start losing credibility, they start speeding up again to get that credibility back. And then the most important thing is how this then allows everyone, both yourself and others, through confidence and credibility, to get a better sense of the future, and that here is called predictability. At the end of the day, all of the companies on the stock market are all valued based on their predictability. If they are actually predicting accurately, if they're giving guidance to the market as to where they think they're going to go, and they are hitting or just overachieving on that, then everyone then actually says, well, then they're worth more money because we believe in what they're going to say. But if they start missing their targets, if they start overestimating where they're going to be, then soon everyone loses confidence in their ability to predict, and the value of that company actually goes down as well. So this is exactly the same as your customers. If your customer can't predict whether or not you're going to give good value, they're not going to buy from you. Once they start getting that predictability, they'll be buying from you or even queuing up before you even got the product. This is what happens to Apple. People queue up to buy the product before it's even released. And that's because it has such high predictability in terms of what it's going to deliver. So why is this so important? Because the world has changed. And the impact highway is the concept that we now have to operate differently than how we operated even 20 years ago as a result of the speed of which people are now moving, how little attention we have of theirs, how little time we have of theirs as well, and how you still need to keep the same basics of actually making sure that you're slowing time down enough that it actually turns into money and it turns into customers. So if you're at a point right now where you're like, I don't have enough customers, or I don't know how to go 10 times, it may be that you need to slow down, it may be you need to speed up, but there's a very good chance it's not going at the pace that you're at right now. So I'm going to go through with you the basics at every level, so that as we go through and start this journey, depending on which level you're at, you can see how each level compares to the other levels as well. The most important thing here is to realize that we are going from what used to be a 1-lane highway up until now what is more like a 4-lane highway. And I'll share what I mean by that. If you take how things were just 25 years ago, 30 years ago, remember the days when you could actually be sitting down, having a meal, This was kind of like in the 70s, early 80s. You're with a family, and you're like, just tucking into your meal, and there's a knock at the door. And so you go over to the door, and you open the door, go, hello, and there's a guy there, and he's got like a bag of things, and he's got like this vacuum cleaner there, and it's like, oh, hello. And he goes, oh, wow, you got a bit of a dirty spot right there. And you're going, oh, well, I'm actually just having dinner. It's like, yeah, but look at that spot. It's like, oh, I didn't even notice that spot. It's like, yeah, it is actually quite dirty. It's like, well, do you have a vacuum cleaner? Yeah, I do, but not for that. It's like, well, hang on a second. And he gets out some like detergent, and he gets out his vacuum cleaner, and he kind of plugs it in, and then off he goes, and it's like, wow, that's amazing. And these were the days of the door-to-door salesman, right? These are the days when you had so much time and attention, when things were moving so slowly. You were even willing to interrupt your dinner to have a conversation with someone. And they were actually able to come into your house and have a conversation with you, and those days are gone. We don't answer the door-to-door to salesman anymore. In fact, you might remember the days when the phone goes and you picked up the phone. This is the days when we had kind of like, the home phones where it was all kind of wired in together with a stretchy wire, and we'd kind of like have the dial-up, and we'd have the phone go, and we'd pick it up and go, hello, and there'll be someone there who says, hi, just checking on your insurance. It's like, oh, my insurance, I think it's up to date. It's like, yeah, but do you have the right insurance? It's like, I think I do. It's like, but your car insurance, are you sure it's up to date? Because, there's more accidents on the roads nowadays, and there's actually some new ones that actually could be saving money. It's like, I didn't even know that. It's like, is that true? It's like, yes, it is. And now you've got the telesalesperson that actually is taking up your time and your attention, and you're quite willing to have that conversation with him, even though you're not willing to let him into your house anymore. He's now on your phone. Guess what? Today, not only do we not actually take calls from telesales people, we don't even pick up the phone if we don't recognize the caller ID. Like, that's how short our attention and time span has now got. So as a result of this, what did people do? They ended up with a 2-lane highway. They said, well, maybe we need to actually grab people's attention before we can actually grab their money. Maybe we need to actually get them already more aware of us wherever they happen to be. And in those days, like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, it was on TV. So everyone started like buying up newspaper ads. Everyone started buying up like TV spots. Super Bowl ads like became the place to be because everyone was watching the TV at that point in America. And so what then happened? Everyone was then focusing at trying to grab people's attention when they were watching ads. Well, we all know what happens today. We don't even watch those ads anymore. So now what happens is a whole different picture. Now it's no longer about trying to sell anything to anybody. It's simply nurturing whoever is interested in what you're doing to the point where they become a buyer. And you've got to do it in 4 different stages, because we've gone from a 2-lane highway to a 3-lane highway to a 4-lane highway, and at every lane, there's something different that you now need to actually move through in order for you to actually have someone come off onto your turning. So the very, very first thing that is required is for you to actually get that person who is on, and let's take it from here, right? And let's say that we actually have the off-ramp, like this is the outside lane. This is the fast lane, right? This is the slow lane, and this is where we can actually then get the turn off, where someone might be willing to say, hey, I'll actually come and work with you. And in the fast lane out here, the very, very first thing that you need to capture before anything else is attention. And attention, by the way, attention is not something you can grab from someone. Attention is something you need to earn. So who are the people who today are saying to you, you're worth my attention? Maybe not worth my time yet, maybe not worth my money yet, but you're worth my attention. There's a word for this, and the word for this is the word followers. Now, we all know of things like Instagram followers and Facebook followers and LinkedIn followers, and these are the people who are following you on social media or in some place where they already are giving their time. By following you, they're not saying, I'm going to give you more of my time. They're saying, I'm still putting time on this platform. I'm not giving you any of my time, but I am giving you attention. I want to see some of your things, so I think it's worth it. And it could be that you actually gave them something that was a free post. It could have been that you had a comment of some sort that they found interesting, but something captured their attention, and they said, this is worth my attention. I want more of that. But that's really all they're saying at this point. They're still zooming past in the fast lane. But you need to be tracking, well, how many followers do I actually have? Because if you're at a point right now where you're trying to build your business and you have no followers, and you're just knocking on doors trying to find a customer, don't ever expect you're going to get to 10,000 or 100,000 customers. But if you at the same time are actually gathering all these people here who are actually coming through and actually giving you this attention, there will be a number of them who will be actually willing to give you more than attention. Because the second thing, when someone says that was worth my attention, is they're then going to say, I'm willing to pay you some of my time. Attention and time are the 2 most precious assets today. And if you're not able to actually earn that from people, don't ever expect to earn their money. But if you've got people saying, I'm willing to earn my time, and it might be only a small percentage of this. It might be 10, 20%, of people here that actually come over and say, I'm going to give you some of my time, right? And this is as a result of them actually saying, I'm going to download something of yours. I'm going to give you my email address. I'm going to give you my phone number so you can have a conversation with me. Something where they're actually dedicating some of your time outside of just the attention, which means you're no longer getting shared attention. You're getting their full attention because they're giving you time with it as well. This is what we call your community. And all businesses today are community-based businesses because we are much more likely to buy something because there's someone else who we trust that recommended it than we are just because we saw an ad. And so as a result of that, if you're not going down this whole focus at building community, don't ever expect to grow your business. But if you do go down this pathway, there's a predictable way of how much you need to grow your community to be a level 3 or be a level 4 business, which is what I'm going to get to. And then from here, when you actually get some people saying, well, I'll come over to this line, and a percentage of them come over here, they're slowing down. They're taking more time with you. They're building more trust with you as well. And it'll get to a point where then from this one here, some of them, they're not yet ready to say, I'm going to pay you money, but some of them will say, I'm willing to pay you with a decision. Like, I actually think this is worth enough of my time because I read your guide, I came onto your free group and I started chatting with other people there. I had a conversation with you and I found it was really interesting what you were sharing. And from that, I'm willing to make a decision whether or not I trade some of my time for money. Meaning that if I could actually do the same thing that I'm now figuring out I can do by using all my time up, but do it faster by actually working with you, because I actually trust you can actually deliver for me, I'm willing to pay some money for that. Right? If there's no way someone will pay money if they don't even know if it's worth their time. So make it worth their time first, right? Which means there's specific things you need to do here to ensure that actually you've got the right people that are showing up, and don't try and sell something to someone that isn't even giving you attention, because it's just a waste of your money and it's a waste of their time. So if at this point someone says, yeah, you know what? I'm willing to actually come over here and make a decision. This is what we call a prospect. A prospect isn't someone just because you phone them up. A prospect is someone who's coming to you to say, I'd like to find out more how I can work with you. And there's some very specific ways you can invite people in to have that conversation with you, or even to get them onto a page where they can understand all of this. But now you're not just getting strangers onto a page, you're getting people that actually know about you already through the videos that you're creating or through the things that you've heard. Think about how you actually ended up even here on this video today. There's a very good chance that you got here as a result of someone recommending what we were doing with the World Game or what we're doing with GeniusU, someone recommending me personally, someone recommended what they were doing or shared their story, and that got you interested enough that you came on board as well, because we keep on every day being more focused and making sure we have more followers and more community joining our movement and what we're doing than we are at actually trying to get people to become customers. And then the right people at the right time then step up to become customers after they've actually said that was worth my decision. There will be a percentage of these people, not all of them, but some, who say now, as a result of being someone that's making a decision, I'm going to say, yes, I'm now going to actually pay you money for one of your products. These are your customers. And your customers will be the ones that actually end up coming into the slow lane enough that they see the turn off and say, right, I'm going to come on this journey with you. And then those customers then end up might becoming raving fans that come back again and again in the future if you've done a good job with them, while this continues to grow as well. So first of all, I hope that makes sense to you, that if you're looking and saying, well, no wonder I can't grow because I haven't really been focusing at these areas over here, and you start thinking about it in a way that you want to actually start growing these more effectively, let me give you the metrics. Now, we'll give you on a slide as well, right? But if I was to actually just give you a basics of the metrics, I would look at it like this. We would look at it and we would say that from a level 1 business, which is based, and remember, there is a level 0 as well. Level 0's got no customers yet, right? So level 1's at least got 1 customer. Then you've got level 2, level 3. Let's just take it to level 5. So that's obviously 1 to 10 to 100 to 1,000 to 10,000 customers. And let's actually just take this where we actually say, well, we'll have the followers here. Those are the followers. We'll put here the community members. So here's community. We'll put here the prospects. And we'll put here the customers. And what would we expect? Now, what I'm going to give you is, after researching many, many, many companies, because we mentor thousands of companies around the world, we track a lot more than that as well. And so as a result, we've taken data and statistics from all of the companies that we're working with and saying, well, what is it on average? And we have some averages we're going to give you. It does vary from this, but you'll see yourself in here somewhere and realize why it's so difficult to move to the next level when you actually see how these actually step up. But if we actually go through this and say, well, we know this is going to be, one customer, and then we're going to have 10, then we're going to have 100, and then we're going to have 1,000, and then we're going to have 10,000 customers, right? That's really what it's going to look like. We can actually move over to this level over here, and what we can see is we can see that this is almost a multiplier of 100 to 1, right? So this would be more like for followers, you'd expect 100 followers for one customer. Now, it may be those 100 followers had nothing to do with that one customer. The one customer was just your friend or just someone you're working with. But you've at least started this whole process of getting to those 100. This becomes already at this level here, up to 1,000, up to 10,000, up to 100,000, and by this point, there's about 1 million followers that are actually following along here. If we take something like GeniusU, which is the platform you're on right now with us, we're about to hit 1 million in terms of the number of people who are our community members. They're not all paying customers, but we're hitting about 1 million here, and we're actually having on the followers side, this is about to hit 5 million, and those are all of our pixeled audience that we're tracking and the people that have been to our sites and also the people that are following us on social media. And so there's a very specific, 1 to 5, that's a 20% shift from this one to this one, from 5 million to 1 million, which really kind of puts us already at a level 6 business. So each of these has got its own numbers as we go. And in fact, I'm going to give you the other numbers here as well, because this is where it gets kind of interesting, right? If we go for community members here, we've got about 50 if you're at this level, and the 50 then leads to about 10 that are at this level here. And if you think about it, the most important thing to begin with is, do I have 10 prospects to get one customer? Like, do I have my hot list of 10 that I'm going to go to? And then start actually building these up. And these ones will come in handy later, but don't expect these to be the ones that actually come to here now. And the way you get these ones is actually totally different, as you're going to see in the coming steps, than you would actually expect it to be further up the line here, right? So it's a whole different way of thinking. If we go down these ones here, these ones actually change, because these ones here are going from 250 to 2,000 to 20,000 to 200,000. You'll notice that this here, all the way down, right, is actually changing in percentages. Like, this is about 20% here, which is very similar to our numbers at the moment. This one also is at 20%. This one's also at 20%, but you notice that this goes to then 25%, and this goes to 50%. Because your engagement level down here is much, much, much higher. This is when you're actually interacting with each person. It's when you're finding out who they are, how you can be of value to them. Because at the very early days, why would they actually want to follow you and don't have many followers? Because you're actually more intimate than them than someone up here, right? So you can actually get a much higher percentage that's coming through here. And then from a community to a prospects, like 10 out of 50, that's again 20%, right? And all the way up to here, you'll notice that these numbers also, they actually work at almost exactly the same all the way down. That this is 20% to get to 40,000 here. That this one here is 20% to get to 4,000. That's one here. This one here is also 20%, which is more like 400. And then even these ones are like 20%, like that's 10, and this one here is like 50. Right? Each of these is at 20% all the way down as you're going. And that's because pretty much from community to prospects is very, very similar. 1 in 5 people are the ones that are going to say, I'm ready now to do more. And over the year, you'll see this actually start to track out. And then you can see also that these numbers here, 1 in 10 people, right? That's 10% of your prospects are going to say yes to begin with. By the time you get up to here, it's 1 in 5, it's 1 in 4. This is 25% now, right? This one here also is 25% from like 4,000 to 1,000. This one here is also like 25%, and this is more like, this has now gone the other way. Why? Because to begin with, there's less people that are going to be willing to work with you because you're new, that you haven't been proven yet. Whereas up here, they now know you better, plus you've got a product range which is actually much easier for them to step into compared to when you actually get started. Each one of these as you go then actually has like a dollar value that we've seen that allows you to see roughly what size business you're going to be at every level as well. This one here for the year, even with one customer that might be paying you every single month, like a boss or something like that, might be at something like $20,000 is what you'd be expecting at that point. That would be at this level here. By the time you get up to here, this is more like a $20 million business. And this is more like a $5 million business. This is more like a $1 million business. And so each one of these is like a different level. This is already over 100,000, usually about $150,000 business. And just see where you fit into these numbers as well. I'm pretty sure that you're already recognizing a bit of a pattern here is that you always are going to end up at a bit of a stage where you get stuck at a level because of that next level up as we go as well. Every one of these requires a different leadership. Every one of these requires a different strategy for your customer. Every one of these requires a different team that you're going to need to actually manage it, and a different set of systems that are in place as well. Effectively, it's like every one of these is in itself a different vehicle, which means you've got to get out of the bicycle to get onto the bike, onto the motorbike. You've got to get out of the motorbike to get into the bus, out of the bus to get into the plane. Each one of them is a different level you need to step into as well. But the most important thing about this impact meter is by having it as a guide, you can realize why it is you can't move to the next level, because you haven't opened up enough of a pathway to people who don't even know you yet. And don't ever start at the bottom by just going to people who don't know you, expecting you're going to start a business. Always start by actually proving your product to people you do know. And then once you know it actually sells, you're creating that bridge to people who you don't know, and you're creating a predictable pathway which allows them to find you, and where you actually get a much, much clearer understanding of what it takes for every new person to come on board, and then what you can expect from them in terms of how much they'd be willing to pay and spend with you as you're growing as well. There is a slide on this, and we'll show you this slide as well, so you can actually use this for reference. But as we go forward, keep this in mind, that it's about all four things moving forward together in a 4-lane highway, not just about how do I get more customers on board and then worrying why you don't have customers in the first place. So with that being shared, I hope without putting too much numbers in your mind at this point, the most important thing is you got the fundamental key lesson here. And the key lesson is that wealth is controlled time. That it is about understanding that as you slow time down, then attention grows, trust grows, and you get to a point where people say, right, I understand enough and I see enough of what you're doing that I actually know the value you can deliver, and I'm willing to come on board and work with you and pay you money as a result of the value you're going to give me as well. Which is why I always say at the end of the day, wealth is not how much money you have, it's what you're left with if you lose all your money. It's not about the money is simply the echo of the value that you're delivering. And if you're not making the money, it's because you're not yet delivering enough value and then leveraging it in the most effective way. So with what I've just shared, post down below whatever is the biggest thing which is of learning for you. You'll see also that we've actually included some reference points down below as well. So you can download them, have a look at them, and then set your own goals of what you would like to see for your own business, given that you already set what level of business you want to have at the very beginning of this microdegree. You can now set what that would look like in terms of the number of followers you're going to be having, in terms of the number of community members, the number of prospects, and the number of customers. And once you've actually completed that, you're going to have more of a plan, which allows us to then move forward in the coming steps.